These thoughts up in my head, things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here. I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm your host, Ed, and as always, journey with me as we pursue greatness in a world full of chaos. We are back at it again with another episode. This is season 2, episode 2. Today's episode is about consistency, which is something that I need to work on, which is why we're going to talk about it. So if you're new here, if this is your first time coming across the Overthinking Thoughts Pod, first and foremost, thank you for joining me. You could have had any other podcast. You chose to look into this one, and I hope that you get something out of it. For those who are returning, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate those who have been rocking with me since day one when I had the headset, and now we're getting a little better. However, we're going to stay consistent. That's the key, okay? As always, we try to pursue greatness in a world full of chaos. We know that there's a lot that's going on out here, so we want to do our best to stay motivated, stay consistent, try not to overthink so much, not to feel anxious about anything, but in everything with prayer, petition, and thanksgiving. Giving those requests to the Lord, obviously, to all of my Christian followers. And to those that aren't Christians and they say, I still need some type of motivation, I got you covered. All right. Couple of, I guess, housekeeping announcements. If you ever want to see this, if you're like, yo, I'm listening to it on stream, but I want to see the visual, I'm on YouTube, Overthinking Thoughts Pod. Peep the logo, designed by my brother, IV the Great. Make sure that you, I don't know, like, subscribe, share the video. That'd be helpful. But I'm also on all streaming platforms. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcast. I was on Google Podcast. I think that might have switched. So just stick with Apple and Spotify for right now. Those are like top 2 that are working. And then, of course, for socials, you can find me over on Instagram at Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm also on TikTok at Overthinking Thoughts Pod. On TikTok, I'm trying to get to 500. So if you can like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, that'd be great. I don't remember where I'm at on Instagram, but that's okay. If that's your platform and you're like, yo, I want to follow that dude, please do. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, I am back. And I'll be honest with you, I have not been as consistent as I should have been. I've been telling myself I got all these plans, I got ideas in my head about episodes that I want to do and what I want to talk about and how I want to talk about them. The reality is that there's just days where life gets in the way. Family is important, so I got to make sure that I'm there for my fam. But then there's just also those times where I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I feel like I have to stay consistent in what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm going to put myself in a position where all this that I've worked for and what it could potentially grow into will never happen. And so my process now is to develop a plan that's going to allow me to stay consistent with my episodes, to allow me to stay consistent with posting, to allow me to stay consistent with promoting and finding ways to really put my podcast out there. I feel like that happens in life as well too, because it's not just about podcasts. I mean, that's a major thing for me, but there's other things that I need to stay consistent in, getting more consistent in my word, getting more consistent in prayer, getting more consistent in, putting things in God's hands as opposed to putting them in mine, because I'm not good at that. But I also know that I got real people out there that are struggling with trying to put themselves in a position to stay consistent, whether it's lack of motivation, whether it's lack of support, whether it's the lack of effort. You got to find it within yourself, because every great idea and every great dream starts with you. It starts with the person from within. The idea that forms inside of you is there for a reason. It's not put there on accident. It's put there because you're the only one that's going to be able to really grow it into what it's supposed to be. But if you don't stay consistent, and if you don't practice it, and if you just let it sit and collect dust, then it'll just be there. No type of action, no type of progress. And the worst part about it just being there and not being useful is that it could have been helpful to somebody. It could have changed the life of somebody. But because you decided that you didn't have all the tools, or you didn't feel like it, or, well, nobody's helping me, or whatever the case may be, we missed out on an opportunity to help somebody grow. And the worst part is that you'll stop yourself from growing. So whatever that dream is and whatever it is that's inside of you, stay motivated. But you also have to find a way to be consistent and deliver it the right way at the right time. And I think people have a problem with consistency because you have to still work hard even when you don't feel like working. You have to still produce even when the energy's not in you. You have to still put yourself out there even if you're not 100%. And it's a difficult task because there's so much chaos going on around us. We're seeing all the stuff that's in the news. I mean, we're seeing all the stuff with Trump, and we're seeing all the stuff just with with Palestine and the kids and all that stuff. Like, there's so much that's happening in this world, and we still got to figure out, how do I help my children, or how do I help the people that I'm leading, or how do I help myself? I get it. I know that it can be difficult. But if we just stand there and wait with the hope that somebody comes along and helps us, it may never flourish into what it was called to be. You may never flourish into what you were called to be. And the last thing I need is for somebody to stay stagnant when they have dreams that can impact and influence a nation. The last thing I need is for somebody to throw an idea away because they don't feel motivated to do it. The last thing we want is for somebody to have something that could change this world and they bury it because they don't think they're good enough. When I know that you're better than good. Because you got to remember who created you. And you got to remember who put the idea inside of you. And you got to remember the person that when it gets tough and when it gets difficult, who's that person that you can look to and say, I don't know if I can carry on, but I will work with what I have. And I can give it to God and he takes care of the rest. Let's not sleep on our dreams and just keep them as dreams. Let's wake up and actually make them real life situations. But I understand that life is life. Things happen. You're not perfect. You're not going to always be willing and ready to do things. And that's cool. But what I will say is don't put yourself in a position of where you just allow things to pass you by, because it's going to be difficult for you to pick yourself back up and get back to where you started if you never get started. You see what I'm saying? And that's the piece with consistency. So, like, for example, when we have practice with our with our what, 6th, 7th graders and things like that, the biggest thing I push them is you got to stay consistent. You got to, everything that you do in practice, you're going to do in the game. So how you practice is how you play. So you can't be mad at a poor performance if you practice poorly. Or how my boy Q used to say, he was one of my assistant coaches, awesome dude, intelligent dude, and was fully dedicated to helping our kids grow. But he would always yell out, 5 P's, boys, 5 P's. And we would quiz the kids every single time. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. If you are properly prepared, you will not perform poorly. And the kids never really, like, at first they didn't grasp onto it, but then once they saw that if they actually put themselves forward, they did a really good job. And that's the same thing that we have to do in our lives. We can't just let the world pass us by and have all these great ideas in our mind and then never take the time to take a risk or take a challenge on it. Most of us don't want to be consistent because we're scared of what the result might be. We think that if we fail, then that's the end of the road. We think that if we fall, we'll get laughed at, we'll get teased. Man, some of the greatest ideas and the greatest things that have happened in this world came from people who were laughed at, people who were mocked, people who were talked down to. And the only distinguishing difference was is that they didn't quit. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that separates you from them, is that when things got difficult, they didn't quit. When you faced the roadblock, you thought it was the end of the world and you decided to stop. So what's that difference? And why is it that every time when things get difficult, you decide to shrink? What does that stem from? Do you not think that you're great? Do you not think that you're good? Do you not think that you have it inside of you to be great? Because I think you do. Like, I don't think that it would bother you that much if you didn't have the skills to make it flourish. I don't think that it would keep you up at night if it wasn't something that could be accomplished by you. I just don't think that you would think about it that much if it didn't mean anything to you. So, who's going to live out your dream? And are you going to wake up to make it an actual reality? That's my I challenge you for that, right? But things with consistency, right? You have to, like, okay, in the beginning, everybody is motivated. They on fire for it. They got all the ideas, got all the concepts. Mind is just moving 100 miles a minute and they feel great about it. Okay, cool. So they got it. And the first couple times they start doing some things, they might run into some good luck and stuff's moving fast. But what happens when it doesn't? What happens when the first episode that you have gets like 80 to 100 views and the second episode gets you 6? What happens is, if in the first, say, 2 weeks of your social media page you get 100 followers and then 2 months you only gain 4? What happens when you're coming up with all these ideas and then all of a sudden you feel like you can't move forward, or you got brain fog, or you feel stagnant? What do you do then? Because there, you can be motivated to do something, but I'm telling you, motivation wears off fast. So then what is the next step after motivation? Consistency. Even when I don't feel like doing it, I still have to go for it. Even when I'm tired, I still have to go for it. Even when I feel like it's not good enough, I still have to go for it. Even if I'm doubting myself, I still have to go for it, because I got something inside of me that I know is going to impact this world. And shame on me to receive a gift from God Himself and never take the time to open it. Can't have that. I don't want you to be in that position, because I don't want you to be in that story of what if. I don't want you to continue to sit there and wonder, man, if I would have just done this or done that, I would have been this or I would have been that. And it's just like, yeah, but you didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't help you if you don't do it. I can't push you if you don't want to be pushed. I can't motivate you if you don't want to be motivated. And I can't make you start the work. Something inside of you has to get you there. But maybe you don't want to be consistent because maybe you're scared. Maybe you fear that who you are and what you possess isn't good enough. Maybe you start to compare yourself to other people and the ideas that you had start to fade because you're more concerned about what they're doing and less concerned about what you should be doing. So now every time they take a step forward, you're taking 3 steps back because you feel like who you are and what you do doesn't amount to what they do. Run your race and stop worrying about what other people are doing in their lane. Because when you start looking at other lanes and you start taking your eyes off of where you're supposed to be, you start to drift. And when you start to drift, you start to lose sight and lose focus on where you're supposed to be. And when you start trying to drift into other people's lanes, you'll realize that you're not them. And that's okay, because I don't need you to be like anybody else. I just need you to be your true, authentic self, because you yourself are good enough to do the thing that you've been called to do. You yourself have the skills, you have the tools, you have the power. But it's just up to you to believe that you can do it and then stand on that and continue to do it until you can't do it anymore. And if you fall, lesson learned. It's not failure if you continue to keep going. It's just change of direction. So don't be discouraged by the change of direction. Be encouraged by the fact that you made it that far and now you know how to make adjustments to get to where you need to be. I want you to stay encouraged. One thing that I would also challenge you with, as well as myself, is to find somebody that's going to hold you accountable to chase after what it is that you're doing. I myself need an accountability partner. I will tell you that I'm not always open to being like, all right, hey man, I need you to like challenge me to do it. Cause I will tell you, for most of my life, I was conditioned to just go and all right, you gotta handle it yourself. Okay, that's cool to an extent, but then like when I'm tired or if I want to quit, who's gonna be that person to push me? So if you know me and you're like, bro, I need you to keep going, I would love for you to be my accountability partner. I would. But then look at yourself and ask yourself, who's gonna hold me accountable? Like when I know I'm skipping corners and I need somebody to tell me, bro, don't do that because that's not right. Or hey, girl, you supposed to be doing this, and now all of a sudden you sleeping on. No, we can't do that. We got stuff to do. Like we got things to achieve. So find somebody that is willing to hold you accountable and will tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. Because if you got a whole bunch of yes people around you, it's gonna be hard to take a no from somebody who actually sees what's going on. If you got somebody that's gonna give you the real and be like, what you doing ain't right, and you gonna go down a path you don't need to go on, those are the people you keep. Because they're the ones that will tell you what you need to hear because they want to see you be successful. So surround yourself with good people, build yourself a great village, and whatever you do, do not let doubters or discouragers get in the way of your destiny because they can't do what you do. So find somebody that's going to hold you accountable and like come up with the goals and the mindset of like, all right, this is what we're doing. Here's what I can't cut corners on. Here's what I need you to hold me accountable on. Check in with me on these times and let me know, like, hey, you said you was gonna do this by this day. Did it happen? And if life happens and things come up, that's when you get the person to talk to you and be like, okay, so what happened? All right. What prevented you from getting to this point? What can we do to catch you up? Do we need to change some things around? But whatever you do, don't quit on the dream. Okay. Like still keep going. It may take a little bit longer, but that's okay because you still are on the pursuit of going after what it is that you're meant to go after. I think that's the biggest issue with a lot of people in our lives right now is that we see people that start great things, but they just don't stay consistent in it. They want to stay motivated, but when motivation dies out, where's your discipline? Are you going to be disciplined enough to go back and say, okay, even when I don't feel like it, I know I have to keep going? Think about, the late Kobe Bryant. When you hear about his training and when you hear about him already being in a full sweat at 6 in the morning because he got up to work out at 4 to dedicate himself to a game that he loved, I'm sure he wasn't waking up every day at 3:30 like, yeah, let's go, I'm ready. I think he was like, man, all right, if I'm gonna be great, I got to keep doing this. And he just never let up. And that was the difference. They got him 5 championships. They got him on the Olympics. They got him MVPs. They got him All Stars. They got him to be a Laker legend. And that's just one example. There's other people that you've seen in your life that have sacrificed things and have worked hard and stayed consistent in what they're doing, and you can see them and see the footsteps that they took. So if you're able to see these different examples that have been happening in your life daily, then why are you telling yourself that that can't be you? Half of the problem with consistency is you doubting yourself. Half of the problem with you finishing a project is you thinking that you're not good enough to finish it. Sometimes your worst enemy is you because you are so powerful in your own mind that if you put one doubt in your mind and you start to actually hear it and believe it, you'll stop everything that you're doing. But just imagine if you change that energy and put one positive thing in your mind and you kept believing it every single day. Don't you think you would keep going forward? If you're that powerful, if you have that mindset to where you could put a thought in your mind and if you believe it and keep going forward, which one you choosing? The one that's going to pull you away from everything you're working for, or the one that's going to uplift you and the one that's going to continue to keep pushing you forward even when you don't feel like it? Because it's the belief. That's why I tell you at the end of every episode that I believe in you. Now go believe in yourself. I really need you to go believe in yourself because we got a lot of people out here that aren't believers in two different things. The first thing is they don't even believe in themselves. They don't think that they have enough to get from point A to point B. They feel less than. Now, some of that could be caused from maybe childhood traumas or maybe things that have happened in life or different circumstances and things. So they're holding on to this stuff and they got this heavy weight on their back. Now, this pours into the second part of not believing because they're holding on all this thinking that nobody is there to help them, but I can point you to the one that can help you. That's Jesus Christ himself. All those things that you're carrying and all those burdens that you have, and you're walking around with this heavy bag and you don't want to let go of stuff. You're tired, you're angry, you're frustrated. It's because you haven't let go. And when you think about having somebody who's willing to say, just give it to me, come get your rest. You're feeling heavy burden, come to me and I will give you rest. Why would you not do that? Why would you not believe in the one that's telling you that this is possible? And then when you see other people doing it, why are you telling yourself, oh, well, no, that can never happen to me? It's not true. You just keep telling yourself that it can't happen. Whole time, our creator, our savior, the one that believes in us, the one that created us, the one that died for us, he's just waiting on you to come to him. That's it. That's why I got this tattoo. It's my riding staff, the 99 and the 1. Because sometimes I feel like I'm in the 99 where I fully believe that everything Christ is doing is great. But then sometimes I'm that 1 where I feel like I've gone too far away. But even if I'm that 1, the best thing that I can remember, the best thing that will always be in my mind is knowing that God will leave the 99 to come get the 1. I just have to believe. So if that's all I have to do is believe in him, give my plans to him, allow him to push me forward, allow him to dictate where I go and be the person in control of my life, because I can't control it on my own, because I don't know where I'm going and what I'm doing every single day, but I know somebody who does, and I could give it to him, and I could trust in him and not lean on my own understanding, because if in all ways I acknowledge him, he'll direct my path, the straight and narrow, the one that's going to get me to where he wants me to be. And that's greater than anything that I could ever imagine. So maybe I'm preaching to myself, but maybe I need to put those things to the side and stay consistent in the one that created me. Maybe you need to stay consistent and start believing that God built you to be something amazing. So that's why I can believe in myself, because I know the one who created me. So I hope you take that with you too. Just need a moment to be thankful, man. The fact that I can even do this. This is the consistency part. Because I'm not gonna lie to you. I knew I needed to do something, but I didn't feel like doing it. I got so much stuff I gotta do. I keep looking at the time because I know I got somewhere to be. And I'm like, man, am I gonna be able to do this? Am I gonna be able to do that? No, just stop and relax and remember who you are and what you're called to do. And then just take one foot, put it in front of the other. Take the next foot in front of the other. And stay consistent with your progress. That's all we need, folks. There's so many things that could have flourished, but we stopped when it got difficult. I know life is tough right now. This is a weird time to be living. If you were fortunate enough, or however you see it, to be born early 80s, late 90s, and you're in the age where I'm at, we thought we'd have flying cars. Instead, we've had more national disasters than I can count. We've had all types of crazy things that have happened in the news. Any and everything that we need to see will pop up on social media quick, fast, and in a hurry. Any type of word or rumor that's said is all over the news within, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. It's quick, fast, it's in a hurry. So we see it all. And the number one thing that makes it thrive so much, whether it's positive or negative, is that it's consistent. So how about we take something from that? I know that there's a lot of negativity out there, but what if you did something positive? It ain't got to be a podcast. It could be your job. It could be mentoring somebody. It could be you influencing your family, whatever the case may be. And staying consistent and making sure that the things that need to be worked on, you do. Staying positive in the things that you know you're called to do, you can keep moving forward. And we stay consistent and stay positive. Just because the world is chaotic does not mean that we have to live in chaos. We can find peace. We can build that peace. We can put ourselves in situations that can promote positivity. That's what I try to do with this podcast every time I put it out there. I want to give you something that you can take with you every single week that makes you feel a little good about yourself, and to also know that you're not in this by yourself. Yes, I overthink. Yes, I'm anxious. Yes, sometimes I worry. But you know what? I'm still going to get up every single day and go after what it is that God called me to do for a few reasons. Number one, He gave it to me. Number two, man, I got a family that sees me, so they count on me. Number three, I got two boys that are going to grow up in this crazy world. They're going to see so much stuff. But I got to stay consistent in making sure that they see me and that they don't have to go down these bad roads, that they don't have to put themselves in situations where they're compromising their health, their wealth, their happiness. I got to be the example. So that way they can lead and be examples for future generations to come. Yeah, that's what motivates me. But what keeps me consistent is knowing that they need somebody that they can count on. Shame on me to be like, I don't want to do that when this is exactly what I prayed for. So I got to go for it. And I hope you go for it. You know, whatever it is that you're wanting to create, whatever it is that you're wanting to do, whatever it is that's on your mind, your ideas, your thoughts, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, whatever that is, come up with a plan on how you want to make it happen. And like J. Cole said this, like, be delusional in the plan. Like, make it as big as you want. Okay? Because it's your plan. And then start going forward towards it. When you get to that level of like, I don't know if this is going to work, man, go above that and just keep staying consistent in the progress. I know that you can do it. I know that it's going to be difficult, but I also know in the end that it's going to be worth it. Regardless if you have 5 fans or 5,000 fans, 10 followers or 10 million followers, if you're doing it the right way, you're doing something positive. And that's what we want. Stay consistent in your craft. And remember that it was given to you for a reason. Don't be selfish about it. Be selfless and be thankful for the fact that you have it. Because it could have been given to anybody else, but it was fit for you. So stay consistent, stay positive, and go get it. That's what I need you to do. I think if I could leave you with one more thing before I get out of here. I don't know why this got put on my heart, but I'm just going to say this and you take it however you take it. If you haven't taken the time to sit and really put your faith and trust in our Savior Jesus Christ, I would strongly encourage you to. I know that the world will show you many different things, and people have a lot of words, and everybody's got an opinion on what they think is real and what isn't real, and is this or is that. But I want you to think about this one thing. Why is it that God is the most mocked, and why is it that people always bring up an issue with God and Christianity, but really nothing else? Could it be that maybe it's so real that maybe it scares some people? But the reality is you don't have to be scared. You just have to believe. That's it. Believe and follow. Because as you try to do this whole thing on your own, or lead on your own, it gets tough, it gets difficult, and you burn out fast. But man, what a Savior we have in Jesus Christ, who will allow us rest, who will allow us to lay our burdens down, who will allow us to come to him at any moment, at any time of the day. And we can talk to him directly through prayer. And we can understand what he wants to say to us through scripture. And we can see him in everything that we do, and everywhere that we go, and every person that we meet. And knowing that at the end of the day, he knows the plan that he has for us. So I would encourage you, if you haven't built a relationship with Jesus Christ, start today. And if you had a relationship with Christ and you feel like you're falling, you're never too far from grace. And the beautiful part about it is it's unmerited favor, meaning that God gives it to us. You ain't got to do nothing to earn it. He just wants you to have it. All he's asking you to do is trust him. Can you do that? And that's what I'll leave you with. And of course, as always, the number one thing that I want you to remember outside of building a relationship with Christ, of course, is that I believe in you. I go believe in yourself, all right? It's the Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm Ed. We out.
These thoughts have been in my head. Things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here. I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.